This guy in National Geographic. So what they're going to do, they're going to fool you by the definition of the word. The first 5 meanings are purely religious.
Let's debunk some of Kent Hovind's arguments.
Nobody's ever seen any of those happen. None.
You're making a pretty extraordinary claim there. Nobody has ever seen nuclear fusion. We have bombs that work on that principle. Hydrogen bombs. We see it all the time. We witness supernovae all the time. It's a very rare occurrence, but out of 100 billion stars, it happens every second or two, some of which we can see. Historically, we've witnessed a few every month. But in a galaxy the size of our own, the Milky Way galaxy, it's expected to happen about every 50 years.
Number 6, we see that all the time. So when you're talking to an atheist or an evolutionist and you say the word evolution, he is thinking of number 6. And there are millions of good examples of it happening.
I am thinking of evolution, not microevolution, not macroevolution, not organic evolution, not stellar and planetary evolution, not chemical evolution, not cosmic evolution. I'm talking about evolution. There is no distinction between micro and macro anywhere except in your stupid fucking head. And there are millions of good examples of evolution.
And he does not understand how you can't see it. But you are thinking of number 5 or 4 or 3 or 2, and you don't understand how he does see it.
That's because you're a fucking idiot that doesn't understand the basic concepts involved in evolution.
So define the word. Which one are we talking about? Evolution. This guy says it's a change over time. First definition. That's not really what they mean. Then they say living things have changed over time. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're going to skip down to living things? You're going to skip over the first 4 meanings of evolution? Cosmic, chemical, stellar? You know, they'd like to skip over that, okay? They don't want to talk about those because they don't have any answer for them.
If you read what's written here, it's basically talking about the change in life over time as evidenced by the fossil record. We're not talking about the Big Bang right now. We're not talking about chemistry. We're not talking about stars. We're not talking about any of that stuff. We were talking about evolution, the change in species over time. Why would you even bring those up? Those aren't even part of the conversation. Like I said, the only distinction between different types of evolution is in your stupid fucking head.
Students are given the definition of the word, but it's only microevolution, like this textbook. Evolution is a change in species over time. I believe in that. Change in species.
He's changing the meaning to fit his liking. The actual meaning of that phrase is change between species.
See, the Bible doesn't mention the word species. The Bible says they bring forth after their kind.
Whales are mammals and are closer cousins to humans than they are to minnows, but Kent doesn't believe that. Kent believes whales are fish. So did whales micro-evolve from the same ancestor as minnows? Are they the same kind? Science doesn't draw the distinction between kinds. We have family, genus, and species. Pick one.
Farmers have been trying to get bigger pigs for a long time. They crossbreed their pigs, trying to get the biggest pigs they can, okay? Do you think they'll ever get a pig as big as Texas? No, there's a limit in there someplace.
There's a limit to how big a warm-blooded animal can get. If warm-blooded creatures were much bigger than they are now, they would cook themselves from the inside because of body heat regulation. However, there's always a way around limitations like that, and if given enough time, the mutation will appear. But it takes a very long time. That's where cold-blooded creatures come in, or even a hybrid of both. And that's why there isn't as much of a limit on how big dinosaurs could get.
Roaches become resistant to pesticides after a while, but they're still a roach, and they will never become resistant to a sledgehammer. There's a limit to the resistance, okay?
There's no evolutionary advantage to being sledgehammer-proof. If there was an evolutionary advantage, there would be some roach somewhere that had more babies than the roaches that didn't have that gene, and it would be naturally selected. However, have you ever tried to crush a tick before? It's near impossible to crush. You have to burn it because it's resistant to crushing. And not impervious, just resistant. Another evolutionary advantage that could take the place of being sledgehammer-proof is being very fast, which it appears the roaches did accomplish.
Video 4, I cover that. The dogs, for instance, we go from a Great Dane to a Chihuahua. They're still a dog. Still the dog kind. And Chihuahuas cannot produce Great Danes, and he's probably thinking, let's see, how long would the Chihuahuas last in the real world? Yeah, right. Go ahead. Make my day. Here goes.
You are a fucking creep. Diane Dodd did an experiment on fruit flies at Berkeley University. Fruit flies were the perfect test subject because they have such short lives, so the gap between generations is small. She separated a population of fruit flies into 2 separate populations, and she fed one population maltose-based food and the other starch-based food. When rejoining the fruit fly populations, she discovered that not only did the maltose flies want to mate with each other, and starch flies with starch flies, but speciation had occurred between the 2 populations. That means the 2 groups wouldn't or couldn't mate with each other. That is the boundary between species. They are incapable or unwilling to mate, even when it's the only way to produce offspring. And as I said a billion times before, the only difference between macroevolution and microevolution is the amount of time needed for each to occur.